Men's 5,000 at the ASICS Sound Invite, the last event before we step aside for our preview show and get ready for the premier portion of the schedule. Not to say this is not a premier distance event, but this is the undercard for the day as they'll get out of the track racing over the 25 laps that constitutes the 5,000 meter distance. 13:46.5 is the scheduled pacing for the wave lights, though they'll adjust them as they go. That's the ultimate goal for those lights, is to reach the line at 13:46. Smaller field than we saw with the women on the track here. Garrett Winter, Virginia Tech, settles into the front. Hunter Jones of Wake Forest behind him in second. And it's Linus Chepkoche. .34.70 on that last lap. 66.24 on the opening 400 meters. Antonin St. Pierre of Wingate, who was pacing in the 3,000 earlier, back on the track, running in second for the time being, just ahead of Hunter Jones. Nicholas Kipchirchir of Virginia Tech also among the leaders, as well as Owen McKenzie. Last lap 33.16, so they picked it up a click. They're a little bit ahead of that pace light as this building continues to get fuller and fuller. The crowd's starting to become standing room only in portions of the facility. You want to get up and alongside and watch these athletes perform at their best. Reminiscent of that environment we get at places like the Armory, too, where people can be just alongside and right up in close proximity to their heroes. And we'll have plenty of heroes on this track over the course of the next few hours. Garrett Winter through the first kilometer in 2:45.67, last lap of 33.16 as they stay ahead of the lights. St. Pierre in second, McKenzie in third, Hunter Jones, and then the pair from Virginia Tech, Chepkoche and Kipchirchir. Alex Durant of Wingate also among the top runners through 1,200 meters. But Winter doing a nice job. Look at that single file. Everyone's got good space on the rail. Everyone at this point ahead of the lights. St. Pierre's going to settle back here. I think he's checking in with his teammate, Alex Durant, and now going to settle in and pace him for a while. That's some good presence of mind to check out where his teammate was, and job here is to try to keep this thing moving and keep it going ahead of that 13:46.5 pace. Couple of more laps to reach 2,000 meters, or now one lap to be exact, as they come through 1,800 meters in 4:56.86. They go under 33 seconds on that last lap as they pick it up another half second, and you can see Garrett Winter starting to extend his lead slightly, but he was pacing as well, and so Winter steps off the track. And that leaves Owen McKenzie and Hunter Jones, along with Kipchirchir. St. Pierre, who we think is also pacing for his teammate Alex Durant. And then Charlie Sprott of Wake Forest, trying to stay with this lead group. 2,000 meters in 5:31.71, 33.94. A little slower on that last lap. And for obvious reasons, no pacer in front as before. Still ahead of the pace lights, though. 6 minutes elapsed on the clock. This will be 2,200 meters as we're closing in on halfway. And Hunter Jones with a lap of 33.74 through 2,400 meters. There you see Virginia Tech coaches. That might be Ben Thomas, who's been such an important part of that program. And now we're halfway home at 5,000 meters with Jones, Kipchirchir, and then back to Sprott of Wake Forest. And now the Virginia Tech pair going to move themselves into the front of the pack. And will maybe work together here if they can stay in contact with each other. Still a few strides ahead of those lights. In fact, the true pace of those lights is kind of that midway point between the last blue light and the first green light. And they're stretching this out. Let's keep an eye on the lap time for this next lap to 2,800 meters. It was 33.18 for the last lap and 32.14 on this lap, so a second faster. And Kipchirchir has got no one else with him. Kipchirchir was a finalist at 10,000 meters last year. And then in cross country, did appear at the national championships, finishing back in 114th position. Comes in with a 13:39.18 personal best. And Hunter Jones now alone in second position. So successive laps under 32 seconds. Once Kipchirchir took the lead, he's now backed off and gone over 33 seconds on this last lap, 33.07, as the freshman from Virginia Tech now works his way through and around some traffic. This will be 7 laps to go. And Hunter Jones doing a nice job of staying reasonably close. As the delta was about 2.5 seconds through that last lap at 3,600 meters. Well, we'll keep an eye on the lap for Kipchirchir. Hunter Jones was 2.5 seconds behind at the last lap. They were about equal in speed to that 3,800 meter split, so it's still about 2.5 seconds. As this will carry him to the 4K split. And 33:45. So both Kipchirchir and Jones slowing down just a bit. Last kilometer to go. Kipchirchir at the top of those lights. Jones at the end of those lights. Kipchirchir learned how to run these indoor races as well. Tight turns, got to be careful. As he's got 4 laps to go. Lead up over 3 seconds now. 33:22 on that last lap. With 3 to go, a sub-33 second last lap, so Kipchirchir trying to kick it into gear. As he heads down the backstretch through some more traffic and seems to be stretching out the lead as we just now see Hunter Jones come into view. $33:21 on that last lap. Jones running 33:48, so giving up about a quarter second to Kipchirchir, who now has a lap and a half to go. Staying with those lights, though, as he comes to the line. He'll hear the bell. 1 lap to go for the freshman from Virginia Tech. And really trying to crank it up here, and he's racing those lights down the backstretch for the final time. Half lap to go. Into the home stretch, going to the arms now. Look at him go as he gets himself ahead of those lights and will race himself into the conversation at 13:45:08. Hunter Jones second and 13:50:46. Kipchirchir just outside the top 50 in the Division I list, but a nice effort by the freshman. Last lap, 200 meters covered in 29:70. Alex Durant wrapping up his day. He finished in 5th behind Charlie Sprott of Wake Forest and Chepkache, the sophomore from Virginia Tech. As the rest of the 5,000-meter runners cascade into the finish line, as we wrap up the undercard at the ASICS Sound Invite. Yeah, look at the move here